The desert wind rolled softly across the plains when the cowboy first saw her. She stood near a dry ravine, dust clinging to her dress, her dark hair tangled by heat and travel. Though exhausted, she stood upright, eyes alert, pride intact, despite hunger and fear pressing down on her fragile frame. He was a solitary man, known more by his silence than his name. Years on the frontier had taught him caution, but something about her presence halted him. She did not beg or run. She watched him calmly, as if deciding whether he was danger or salvation. The Apache woman had been separated from her people during a forced relocation. Raiders had taken advantage of the chaos, and she escaped only by running until her strength nearly failed. When the cowboy approached, she raised her chin, refusing to appear helpless even when her body trembled. He offered water without stepping closer. She accepted slowly, drinking carefully, never breaking eye contact. There was intelligence in her gaze, and pain. He saw not a victim, but someone fighting to survive. Without words, he gestured toward his horse and the distant outline of his ranch. The journey back was quiet. She rode behind him, holding onto the saddle horn, her balance steady despite fatigue. The sun dipped low, painting the sky orange and red. For the first time in days, she felt the relief of movement without fear chasing her steps. At the ranch, he gave her space. He left food by the fire and blankets near the bed, then slept outside. She noticed this. It told her more about his character than any promise could. Safety, she learned, sometimes arrived quietly. Days passed before she spoke much. She helped with chores, moving stiffly at first, then with growing confidence. She knew the land, understood plants and animals, and shared knowledge that surprised him. In return, he taught her ranch work and listened without judgment. Her name was Nalin. She spoke of her people with pride, not bitterness. She did not curse those who wronged her, but she did not forget either. The cowboy admired this balance. Strength without cruelty was rare on the frontier. Neighbors noticed her presence and whispered. Some warned him, others mocked. He ignored them all. He had lived alone too long to be swayed by opinions. What mattered was that his ranch felt alive again, filled with purpose instead of silence. As weeks turned into months, something unspoken grew between them. It was not rushed or demanded. It came in shared meals, in long rides checking fences, in quiet evenings, watching stars emerge. He found himself smiling more, speaking more, feeling again. Nalin healed, physically and emotionally. Her laughter returned slowly, tentative at first, then free. She began singing softly while working, songs from her childhood. The sound filled the open land, carrying memory and resilience across the plains. But she never promised to stay. The cowboy understood this, though it weighed on him, not to his land or his feelings. Loving her meant respecting that truth. Trouble arrived when a group of soldiers passed through asking questions. They recognized her clothing, her features. She hid inside the cabin while the cowboy faced them calmly, claiming ignorance and offering water. The tension lingered long after they left. That night, Nalin told him she could not stay forever. The risk was growing. She thanked him for saving her life, for giving her dignity when the world had stripped it away. Her voice did not shake, but her eyes reflected sorrow. The cowboy wanted to ask her to stay, to build a future together. The words rose in his throat, heavy and urgent, but he swallowed them. Love, he realized, was not possession. It was sacrifice, even when it broke something inside. He helped prepare supplies for her journey back toward her people. He gave her his best horse, blankets, food, and a rifle. She protested, but he insisted. "You'll need them more than I will," he said, though his heart said otherwise. The morning she left, the sky was pale and quiet. She stood before him, dressed for travel, strong again. She touched his hand briefly, a gesture filled with gratitude and something deeper. "You gave me back my life," she said simply. He watched her ride away until she became a speck against the horizon. The ranch felt empty again, but different. Pain lingered, but it was mixed with pride. He had loved without taking, helped without owning, and that mattered. Months passed. Seasons changed. He worked harder than ever, keeping busy to avoid dwelling on what he had lost. Yet sometimes, when the wind shifted just right, he thought he heard her singing again, carried across the land like a memory. One evening, a familiar figure appeared at the edge of the property. Older now, stronger but unmistakable. Nalin had returned, not to stay, but to tell him she was safe. Her people had accepted her back. She had rebuilt her life. They talked long into the night. She spoke of her tribe, of healing, of purpose. He listened, content simply to see her alive and free. When dawn came, she stood to leave once more, her path clear. This time goodbye was easier, though no less meaningful. They embraced briefly, respectfully. Love did not always mean permanence. Sometimes it meant being a turning point in someone's life, then letting them go. As she rode away again, the cowboy returned to his work. His heart ached, but it was full. He had saved her life, and in doing so, had found his own humanity restored. The Wild West remained harsh, but kindness had carved its mark. Years later, travelers spoke of a quiet rancher who once sheltered an Apache woman and let her leave with dignity. They spoke of him with respect. His story became one of honor, restraint, and love that asked for nothing in return. And though he lost her presence, he never lost what mattered most, had chosen compassion over desire, respect over possession. In a land ruled by force, he had proven that the strongest act was letting someone walk free.